trying to do too much at one go and trying to throw out all the bad things at one go is not sustainable. You want it to be sustainable. You don't want it to be a diet. You want it to be how you live, and you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy that journey.
Hello, everyone. This is Anita Luanga here. I'm here with my friend Nolo Andrews. She's a personal trainer from Johannesburg, South Africa, and we're going to talk all things fitness and nutrition. Nolo, thank you so much for agreeing to be on our show. I know it's very late where you are. You graciously agreed to chat with us. Before we get started, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your interests, your background.
Thank you so much, first of all, Anita, for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to chat with you about all things fitness and nutrition. So really excited. It's not too late. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm good to go. But just a little bit about myself. I'm 38 years old. I am a mom to 4 children and a wife to 1 husband. For now, if he plays his cards right. He is an amazing guy and really just got into the fitness industry, into the nutrition industry because of him and because of our health struggles, which I'll share a little bit more about that. But before that, I was a corporate honey, loving corporate. And I just made the decision that I wanted a different quality of life, a life that I wanted to build around my children because they're still quite young. And that's where I find myself today, being a present mom, being a fitness trainer, as well as helping people with their nutrition around my children, which is great.
That is awesome. I'm really curious. You mentioned something about how you and your husband were previously not in the fitness and nutrition space, and your husband is the one that got you into fitness and nutrition. So tell us a little bit about how that journey unfolded. It's a big change going from the corporate world to fitness and nutrition. So how did that transition happen?
Absolutely. We were in the throes of lockdown in 2020. As you all know, the world just completely shut down and we weren't moving as much. I was in corporate, I was still working, but I was working from home. So it was very hybrid. And my husband actually fell extremely ill. He had quadruple bypass surgery. And at the time, I already knew that I didn't know how to look after the nutritional habits of my family. I was well aware that I wasn't feeding them well. I wasn't looking after them at all. I was overwhelmed as a mom of 3 at the time and extremely tired. And I knew something had to give, something had to change. So when my husband came back from his quadruple bypass, I decided to make changes in our nutrition to see if that could not just help him in his post-operative care, but also be more preventative in terms of other issues that we were facing as a family. My children were also the kind of children who got sick regularly, and I knew that was an immune issue. And I started incorporating small little habits into our diet every single day, adding more vegetables, swapping out your more simple carbohydrates for more complex carbohydrates, adding more fiber to our food, adding more protein to our food, moving a little bit more with the children. And that just started to kickstart our journey to getting healthier. And we changed our health trajectory that way. When people started to see that we were getting healthy, they started asking us what we were doing. And that's how the fitness and nutrition journey began for me. But I didn't want to just support people with nutrition. I wanted to also support people with their movement, because I believe that 20% movement is also part of the package. So I made the decision to train as a personal trainer, and now I am full-time personal trainer, full-time nutrition coach, and full-time mom, which is absolutely incredible, very exciting, and very different from the life that I pictured for myself.
Wow, that is so exciting and so incredible. And it's incredible how you used such a difficult situation, your husband having quadruple bypass, and essentially took a big lemon and made lemonade out of it. You changed your life, you changed, and you made a business out of it. Like your life, your family's life, made a business out of it. That is incredible. So tell me, what are some of the tangible benefits you saw in terms of your husband's health, your kids' health, your own health, and even for your friends and family, the people that you've trained? What are some of the things that you've seen happen?
That is a very good question. In South Africa, we've got something called medical aid. What our medical aids do is they have savings as well attached to them. And because my kids were unhealthy, I noticed that our savings and our medical aid would not last as long as other families. And now, because we are healthier, our savings stretch out to the last quarter of the year, which is really cool because that's money that stays within the household that can be used for other things. So that's one notable thing, because I used to remember how by February, March, I've run out of savings, and I'm just like, how am I going to manage the rest of the year with these kids getting sick? So that's one thing that really sticks out every time I talk about our health journey as a family. But some other noticeable things that I've seen is massive improvement in our skin. I deliberately didn't wear makeup for this podcast because I wanted to showcase the fact that my skin is a product result. It's a result on its own. I'm a product of healthy eating. I've noticed things like my hair growing faster. I've noticed more energy, more zest for life, better digestion. And just that in itself has helped me impact my family, my extended family, like my mom, how she's so keen to get moving more. So we go hiking now, things that we never did before. We swim more. My husband swims close to 100 laps a day now because of how energetic he is and how much his body demands more of him because he's eating better. I feel like I'm aging backwards. My mother as well. I'm 38 years old, and a lot of people don't see that because of how we're looking after ourselves. So there've been a lot of notable improvements, but I also need to mention that as a woman, I'm seeing improvement in my reproductive health as well. There were certain things that would happen to me, like I would experience a lot of thrush because my digestive health wasn't great. I don't experience that anymore because of how I'm looking after my body. And I think nutrition has played a massive role in certain things that can be preventable that we'd never look at because we just don't know how. So I'm really grateful for some of the beautiful things that have come out of the health journey.
That is very exciting, and that is amazing to go from your health savings running out around February or March now to extending up until the last quarter of the year. And even your skin, I agree, your skin is beautiful. And I see you have your water there. Good. So those benefits are incredible. Those benefits are awesome. And even just to see your own family member, like it's one thing to see the benefits for yourself, but to see those benefits for your friends, your family members, it's priceless. These are things that you cannot buy. Good health, it's something that you can't buy. So that is amazing. And speaking of improvements for our audience, what are 3 simple tips you could give them to help them improve their diet or their overall nutritional status?
So I think the first tip is to start slowly. Start making small improvements. I like the idea of habit stacking. So for example, you deal with the habit that you struggle with the most. I used to struggle with drinking water. So I started with my water intake. I commit today that I'm going to be drinking this much water per day. And then I would incorporate that. And once I've mastered that, then I would add in the next habit. I want to eat more protein. I want to eat more vegetables. And I want to eat more variety of vegetables. I want to eat less junk food. And by building those mastering each habit and stacking it onto the next one for a period of time, you build a healthy, active lifestyle without actually realizing it. So for example, one of your habits could be, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day and drink more water. That's something that you can stack on a day-to-day basis. And before you know it, you've built 10 or 20 beautiful, healthy habits very seamlessly into your lifestyle that make your lifestyle better. So that's one tip. I would also start doing things that you love with other people. So if you've got friends that also want to get healthy, pull them in on the journey, because the accountability is so important. When you can hold each other accountable in improving your lifestyle, it makes it so much easier and so much fun. I've got a whole community of friends that I work with on a day-to-day basis. Friend, have you had enough water? I don't know, friend, I'm feeling very sluggish today. Maybe you should rest more. You haven't been resting much. And it's that accountability that keeps you engaged in your health journey. I think it's something that's very easy that you can do for yourself. And then also, I think it's important to understand that when you are building a healthy, active lifestyle, it's your journey. It's no one else's journey. So the one area that I think people often fail in their healthy, active lifestyle is when they compare themselves to other people. And I think comparison steals the joy of the journey. So embrace the journey and allow that journey to happen as organically as possible. For us, it was very organic and it took time. And no way at any point, at this point in my life where I'm very healthy and active, there are still some things that I still need to be working on. And I learn and grow as I go along. And it's that discovery that makes the journey more organic. Trying to do too much at one go and trying to throw out all the bad things at one go is not sustainable. You want it to be sustainable. You don't want it to be a diet. You want it to be how how you live, and you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy that journey. So in South Africa, we say a little bit goes a long way.
I like that. I like that. I like so many things that you say, talking about the habit stacking, not trying to change everything right away, and bringing in your friends and your family members, because for sure, like they say, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. But if you make it like a community thing, like this is what you and your friends and family do, you go for a walk, that is spectacular. And yes, a little bit goes a long way. Those are fabulous tips and very practical. Thank you for sharing that. I would also like to talk about fitness, because I know that is another area of interest and another one of your areas of expertise. So we have our friends who are now going to improve their diet, and they're going to do it slowly. What are 3 tips or 3 things that they can do to help themselves become more fit?
Lovely question. So the first thing is, again, walking is a great way to get started. I know a lot of people are just like, oh, walking is just with walking. No, it actually can do so much for you. You can just get fit on walking alone. So I always recommend just start with your 10,000 steps a day, and you'll find that your body starts to demand a little bit more from you because you've gotten into the habit of doing so much more. So that's the one thing. My second tip would be do something that you love. My husband hates endurance training. I love it. He hates it. He loves swimming, and that's what he does. So now he started very slowly, 20 laps, then he built it up over time, and now he's swimming 100 laps a day, which is fantastic for a gentleman his age. I mean, he's 58 years old, 59 years old. Do something that you love. If dancing is your thing, you can make dancing your form of fitness and go pro in that space. It doesn't have to be just gym all the time. You can find different things that motivate you to get moving. And again, I would always say, find a community that you can engage in that with. We have running clubs in South Africa. I'm sure you have them overseas as well. There are fitness classes, there are aerobics classes, there are run and walk 5Ks for cancer. Do it with a community, because it's so much easier to get started when you're doing it with people. Rope your family in. I roped my family in. There are videos of me, I think, on my social media with my baby in my hand, and I'm squatting with him at home. So don't overthink it. Just get started. Even if your start is just a little walk around the block, just get started. Get that movement in. Don't sit for too long. Park very far from the entrance of your shopping mall so that you can get those steps in, but just get moving.
That is awesome. And yes, I love how you incorporate your babies or your little ones too into your fitness journey, and you're definitely modeling fitness for them, because if they see that most of their life, they're going to think it's normal to put my little brother on my back and do squats or to do push-ups together, that kind of thing. So I really love that. And I really love involving all your family members and your friends in the fitness journey. And in terms of the fitness journey, when people are trying to become more fit and incorporate more exercise into their life, what are some of the mistakes people are making, and how would you advise people to perhaps reduce the risk of some of those mistakes or those challenges that come along with starting a fitness journey?
Yeah, this is a very important area. I see a lot of people jumping with great motivation into their fitness journey, but not considering things that could injure them or not be good for them. So, for example, I see people not warming up before they work out. I see people not fueling up before they work out. They think that I'm trying to go for a weight loss result, so I don't need to eat before my workout. I find that very dangerous, because you're not giving your body the fuel that it needs to perform at the level that you're pushing it to. I see people not drinking enough water during their workouts. It makes them feeling dizzy and listless and tired during the workout. The water is so important to keep you hydrated, to keep you from overheating, and so that you don't walk out of your workout feeling like a prune, which is not great either. I see people not stretching after their workouts, and that leads to like stiffness the next day. Then you're not motivated to go back into a workout because you feel a lot of pain and things like that. Also, like not stretching, not helping your body recover, will eventually lead to injury. So we don't want to see that. So fuel properly, warm up before your workout, hydrate during your workout, cool down after your workout, and refuel after your workout with something high protein to ensure that your body and your muscles are recovering effectively.
Those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing the nutrition tips, the fitness tips, and some ways to prevent challenges when we start our fitness journey. And talking about our fitness journey, there's so many trends in the nutrition space, in the fitness space out there. What are some of the mistakes people making, or some of the trends? Talk about trends you see them following that you don't necessarily think are sustainable or healthy.
Yeah, I see people not resting a lot in their workout. They go in and they just want to do too much too soon, which eventually leads to injury. They will go like into the gym 7 times a day, hoping that they're going to get the results. But part of a fitness journey is actually giving your body enough rest to recover effectively. I see people comparing their journeys and trying to do what other people have mastered in months or years all at once. And that can be extremely dangerous. Again, speaking about fueling your body, drinking enough water, I see people starving themselves. I see people going into spaces that they should never go into, like using certain steroids and drugs that are actually quite harmful for their body because they don't have the discipline, diligence, and patience to walk the journey and get that result organically, because the result will come. It just depends on you being diligent, being consistent to get that result, and building it up. Going into the gym on your first day and trying to lift too much is also not going to be good for you. A lot of the time, people don't want to wait for the result. They want instant results, and that leads to people feeling fatigued in their journey and not actually enjoying their journey because they're not getting the results that they're looking for immediately. But consistency wins every single time. And I think that is a message that I really want to get across, because a lot of what's on social media is actually not the reality of what happens behind closed doors. And you need to give yourself the grace to learn the habits, know exactly what you're doing, and perfect your craft to get the result that you're looking for.
I love that. I love the fact that you're so balanced in your approach and practical, because you're right. There's no magic workout, magic exercise regimen that's going to fix everything. And I also love the fact that you're emphasizing rest. And I want to talk a little bit more about that later on. But speaking of being consistent and taking your time to get there and having your own journey, how often would you recommend that people should be exercising? You mentioned some people do try to go to the gym multiple times per day. Sure, I think if you're Simone Biles, she has her own regimen. Maybe, yeah, she goes to the gym 2 or 3 times per day. But for those of us who are normal people, how many times per week? Should we be going to the gym several times per day or several times per week? What do you think about that?
So I firstly want to say that in terms of gym, or I don't want to speak specifically to just gym, but to working out in general, because you can work out at home as well. I always say that if you are incredibly fit, you've worked yourself up to a high fitness level, then you are going to be looking to do at least 5 days of workout. But for me, it's not the amount of time that you spend doing the workout, especially as a beginner, but rather the quality of the workout that you're doing. So you can do, for example, 2 to 3 days of really high quality workout that can give you everything that you need for your week, especially when you're starting your fitness journey. I know that the Department of Health always recommends at least 30 minutes of workout per day for 5 days at least in a week, and that's fantastic. But if you're doing 30 minutes of very high intensity, vigorous aerobic exercise for a beginner, you could burn out and you could injure yourself. So I think what is important is to, in your day, get little bits of movement in. I always default to the 10,000 steps a day if you can do it, because that's essentially about 3.5 kilometers that you've walked. But if you are looking to get into the practice of working out, then I would say when you start, aim for 2 to 3 times a week and then build it up. And whatever you do, make sure that there's a rest day in between your workouts so that you give your body time to recover. And you will see as you do that more consistently that your body will demand a little bit more of you, because you are essentially building up your strength, building up your muscle. The body's so beautiful in that sense, because once you give it what it needs, it asks for more from you, and it shows you that you've got more energy, you've got more strength, and you can do so much more.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very practical. And I agree. We should look at our own personal fitness level before pushing pushing to do what somebody else is doing. Speaking of exercising, a lot of people want to become stronger. What kind of exercises should people consider if they're looking to increase their strength overall?
I think some beautiful exercises that people can incorporate into their strength training journey would be weighted exercises as well as yoga. Yoga is so good for strength training, for building up your core and building up your strength. I love to use dumbbells as part of my strength training regime. When I add weights to any form of exercise, even when I'm walking and I add weights, that forms part of becoming a lot stronger. If I squat, I will squat with weights. If I'm doing, what do you call them, lunges, I'm going to lunge with my weights. There are various exercises, there are a whole range of strength training exercises that you can do, but it's just about adding a little bit of weight nice and slowly to the workout, or using your body as weight to get that strength up. But also, I would like to add that if you are doing strength training, then you want to also increase certain nutrients, macronutrients in your diet, such as protein, because as you strength train and as you increase weight to your workout, you want to help your muscles to build themselves stronger. Because what you essentially do when you're strength training is that you shred your muscles a little bit and then they rebuild themselves stronger. So you've got to feed your body the right food to support that metabolic action in your body and make yourself stronger.
That is great. And I like how you also touched on the nutrition piece, because you're right, we do have to be intentional about what we're eating if we're trying to build muscle. And you talked about foods that are high in proteins. What are some examples of foods you say encourage your clients to incorporate into their diet that are high in protein that will help them build muscle?
In terms of protein, I think there's a myth that it's just this kind of meat and that kind of meat. You can get protein from various sources, plant-based and animal-based protein. I enjoy a whole range of protein in my diet because I believe that I can get various amino acids from each part of my food groups, which is really cool. But it's not just about incorporating protein. When you're doing strength training or endurance training, there is a little bit of extra carbohydrates that you are going to need, complex carbohydrates that you are going to need to fuel that workout. You're going to need your healthy fats to help you with the flexibility that you need to do some of these movements. So it's all encompassing. I always say that if you want to get into your best shape, you start in the kitchen. 80% of it will be your nutrition and 20% of it will be your exercise.
That is so interesting that you say that. I've heard many people in the fitness industry, many personal trainers say 80, 90% of results are in the kitchen. And all of this is not that intuitive, to be honest. My background is in exercise and health physiology, and I studied this a long time ago, and the science has changed. Like all the time, we're doing research and finding out whatever we used to think is going to help. Maybe it does help, or maybe there's another tweak, or maybe it's counterproductive. And I remember one of my professors saying these things come in waves. I think at the time he was talking about HIIT. He's, oh yeah, this HIIT thing, it comes in waves, but people burn out. So at the time, maybe HIIT was trendy, and then people went more towards more endurance activities. And now HIIT has come back, and then people are getting injured because of HIIT. So it's very interesting to see how all of these things are cyclical, but at the same time, it's not intuitive. So with all these things in mind, do you think it would be useful for somebody to hire a trainer, like a nutrition coach? What are your thoughts on this? What would be the benefit of having a trainer on your side?
That's such a sound question. Thank you for asking it. So on my side, these are my reasons why I would engage a trainer. My first reason to engage a trainer is if I'm unable to hold myself accountable. If I don't have the natural motivation to be consistent myself and need someone who's going to hold me accountable to my goals, then I would engage a personal trainer. Another reason to engage a personal trainer is if you actually don't have the knowledge of how to get the result that you're looking for. When I started on my journey, the reason I engaged a nutrition coach is because I knew I needed to get healthy, but I didn't know how. I didn't know what would make sense for me. I engaged my personal trainer because I knew I wanted to do long distance running, endurance running. I wanted to do the comrades, and I needed someone who had the expertise to put a program together for me to be able to reach that goal. And I think it's very important that when you do things, you do them with intention, because you never want to throw money down the drain, but you also never want to feel that it hasn't worked for you. It's not a good feeling. It's demotivating. It sets you back so much more in your journey. You want to be very intentional and be very clear about your expectations, and allow the personal trainer also to say, if you want this kind of results, this is the amount of time that you're going to need. This is the amount of sessions that you're going to need. Are you going to be able to commit to that. I think another reason I would engage a personal trainer is if I'm training for something really specific. So some people want to bodybuild, some people want to shred in a particular way and look a particular way, and they don't know how to put the program together that will get them there. And that's when you would want to engage a personal trainer. Lastly, if your physician or your doctor recommends that you engage with a trainer because your health is at risk, then I would engage with a personal trainer for that.
Thank you for sharing so concisely. And I love how you gave very specific instances as to where people need personal trainers. I can share with my situation. It was not necessarily the knowledge. Maybe some of my knowledge was out of date. And there were some holes or gaps in my knowledge. But for me, that accountability piece was huge. Knowing that I'm going to talk to my trainer at the end of the week. Maybe I should not eat all that sugar I want to eat because I'm going to have to tell him, yes, I ate those cookies and I didn't sleep the way I was supposed to sleep. When you know you're going to have to explain yourself and explain the number, it's not that exciting to do what you just feel like doing. So accountability is huge. And then even from a physician's point of view, there are a lot of situations where perhaps physical therapist, yes, could help. But on top of that, a personal trainer is also very practical. As we get wiser, we tend to lose a lot of muscle mass. There's actually a medical term for loss of muscle mass as we age called sarcopenia. So in this situation, if somebody's losing muscle mass faster than they can keep it on, this increases risk of falls. It increases risk of many other complications. So in some cases, I tell my patients, even if they have a physical therapist, perhaps they should engage the services of a personal trainer to help them specifically build muscle.
I actually want to talk to specifically part of the reasons that people actually engage personal trainers as well, is that a lot of should actually engage personal trainers. I see a lot of people doing one form of exercise for themselves for an extended period of time to the extent that it becomes detrimental for their natural physique. So for example, there'll be people who will just be on their cardio journey for the longest time because they're wanting to lose fat, but they also don't realize how much for their sustainability they need the lean muscle, and should actually incorporate resistance or strength training into that journey. Because as you improve your muscle mass, you are actually setting your body up for longevity. You're setting your body up for longevity over a longer period of time, so that even when you are focusing a lot more on, let's say, endurance running or your cardio journey, getting your heart muscles much healthier, you are also helping your body become functionally a lot stronger. And that in itself is what's going to give you longevity and good quality of life over an extended period of time. And it will also reduce injury in your other body parts. So when I took on my endurance journey, I would do a lot of running because that's exactly what I needed to do, and that is cardio. However, I also did strength training in the gym because I needed my glutes to be strong to take those hills as I do uphill and downhill on the road. I needed my legs to have the amount of muscle strength to carry me for such a long and extended period of time. And I also needed to be functionally strong to prevent myself from injury because I needed my posture to be right. And that only comes from increasing your muscle mass and making your body stronger.
Thank you for sharing that. So if people out there are interested in working with you to improve their nutrition habits or working with you to become more fit, where can they find you?
I am available on social media. My DMs are always open. My handle is @Claw2. You will find me on Facebook under @Claw2, and you should find me as well on Threads @Claw2. So that's how I keep it across the board, because it's so much easier to find me that way.
Thank you so much for sharing your social media sites, and we will make sure that we have all your social media handles below this video so people can get a hold of you, they can follow you, they can engage with you and ask you questions. Thank you so much, Nolo, for agreeing to be on the show and sharing so much information with us. Like you're a wealth of information, and there's so much more we could talk about. And I'd love to have you back on the show to talk more about fitness and improving our nutrition, probably around the beginning of next year. This is the time when everyone is like, new year, new me, new goals. So I think this is a great time to have you back. So we'll definitely make sure that we make arrangements to have you back. But thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Anita, thank you so much for having me and for reaching out. And I enjoyed this so much. I would love to do this with you again. And all the best to all the listeners who will be watching this class. I hope that it's of value to you. And please don't be afraid to ask. Anita, I also must mention that I follow you on your pages, and and the information that you share is absolutely so valuable. So thank you for the work that you do as well.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye, everyone.